Hello and a warm welcome to Translators podcast, a podcast created by language professionals for language professionals. You're going to listen to the interview with Martin Ulvin. He's a Norwegian translator, project manager, language quality specialist. He has a very interesting and long career in the industry, so we hope you enjoy the interview. Today we have the opportunity to talk to Martin Ulvin. How are you, Martin?
Very, very good, man.
Okay. Martin is a Norwegian language quality consultant. He's also a project manager, translator, a QA specialist who has been in charge of games from Ubisoft, Disney, Harmonix, and projects from Netflix, among many others. You have an impressive career there. And I like something you say. You say that one foot in the door translates to another opportunity.
Yeah.
But how did you start your career as a translator, Martin? I mean, which was your first opportunity, or did you do translation studies in Norway? Is there such a degree in Norway, because in some other countries it doesn't exist? So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually also, and this is where maybe I should come clean straight up. I'm not a trained translator, and my real beginnings are in store management. So it's quite far from the field we're talking about now, maybe, but. Yeah, so that's how I started my professional life. But let's say, I had a lot of interest for cultures and languages, and I had a couple of friends back when I lived in Trondheim in Norway, which decided they wanted to move abroad. They wanted to move to London, and then I thought, this is my time. This is my chance, to go out and see the world. Yeah. So this is how I kind of ended up in abroad, and further ended up in the localization business quite by chance, actually.
Yeah. So how did it happen? What was your first project? What did they offer you? How did it come? So.
Well. I came to London and not a clear idea what to do, but my friend he actually got quite fast a position within video game testing, also Norwegian video game testing, and I after the initial shock to realize that you can get paid for playing video games, I quickly started to search for a similar job, and I found one down in Brighton. So I was commuting to Brighton 2-3 days a week for a period of some months. It didn't really make sense economically, because obviously also time-wise, it took a long time to go there. But I got my foot in the door. I learned the basics of how to write bugs, how to kind of, have the testing mentality, how to kind of, analyze your own language in the context of the end user, let's say. So, it was a really interesting time. And also, I have to say, I had some good colleagues in that period, which also kind of showed me the ropes, if you may. And that again kind of led to after working for this company called Babel Media at the time, they were looking for a Norwegian person to come to Montreal to do testing for Assassin's Creed 2 at the time. It's a while ago. This. Yeah. So this is how the ball got really rolling. To be honest. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's super interesting, because that demonstrates that you just need to be good, passionate about what you are doing to get far. So I'm happy to know about this experience. Yeah, connecting to what you are saying, because you said you have lived in London, Brighton. Obviously, you're from Norway. You have mentioned Canada. So you have lived in many countries. I know at least 4 that I can tell, including Germany. So where you are currently based in Berlin.
Yeah.
Would you say there are more opportunities outside your own country to grow and work as a translator, or do you consider actually it necessary, or no? It's just
I mean, I wouldn't maybe say it's necessary, but I would definitely say it's beneficiary to have some experiences abroad, and also kind of work in an environment where you're discussing language quality and how you go about it, how to evaluate, and how to do proper feedback. Really helps to understand the requirements, but also like on a personal level, to make you kind of a bit more experienced professional, let's say.
yeah.
I mean, also just to give some context, also later when I was, I was doing some time in Montreal with testing, but also like functionality testing and within like big AAA games. But
Yeah.
later in Berlin, I started for a company called Vuga, and there we did much kind of, it was social games, which is kind of it's not so big as a AAA game. It's more, you maybe play them yourself. It's like kind of match 3 and it's stuff like this. But we also had some story-driven games with quite large turnaround of words per week. So we had to kind of figure out ways, and we had to analyze, and we had to kind of also figure out how to externalize the translations. So we started with agency to help us instead of like the in-house language experts. So all of this kind of baked into a higher understanding of the localization industry. That's for sure.
Wow, that's super interesting. Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, it's not essential to leave your own country, and I will say that even nowadays, yeah, with the global village in which we live, I mean, with the internet, it's easy to find something anywhere or to work remotely. So yeah, I completely agree with you. However, we always get a lot of questions on the social media asking us about. I mean, it's for people who has just finished their degree or they are starting as you did when you moved to England, their careers as a translator. What would you recommend, or what would you say to those people who are just starting or who want to find their place in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on kind of where you like to work within. For me, it became games, and the access point there was in LQA testing and further, finding a game company, and then as I did now, go freelance and then use contacts and various portals. But I guess for if you're into fashion, if you're into more hardcore translation, let's say, there are much better access online now than what it used to be. Also, I think currently as a freelancer as well, I notice portals like pros.com, translatorscafe.com, even Upwork. You can get established a contact, and you can get in with a company, and you can start to earn the trust, and then you build on that, and you deliver on time, and you are professional, and so that's a way to build up yourself. So you don't necessarily need to go abroad, but it also is a possibility, let's say.
Yeah, maybe I agree again with what you're saying. Maybe not going abroad, but at least leaving your comfort zone sometimes, because I think it makes a difference when you start being afraid of things and not under the care of your family or friends, and you have to find your way, and you have to make a living, and I think that's. Yeah.
And I mean, like everything builds into to the next one. Also, if you do, I mean, customer service for a while as well, so that also has value.
Yeah,
You
of course.
shouldn't underestimate your experiences, even though it's not, let's say, your dream scenario straight away. In every position, you learn something, and this you bring into the next one, and you know, have some patience, but also like the faster you become professional and you know, get some experience, you know, also a bit more what you want. So yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely agree because I have had some different jobs in my life, but I have always learned from them, and I have always tried to apply what I have learned from my previous experiences in my new positions.
Yeah.
So that has been very useful for me. For example, now I'm working as a translation lead here in Berlin at Formlabs, but before I work as a it had to do with the standardization, and you learn from so many different things, as you said.
Yeah.
If you work in different positions that has nothing to do as a teacher, I also worked, and you know how to talk in public or how to talk to people. So yeah, take advantage of those things, and yeah, and of course everything you learn, everything you do will teach you something that it will be useful.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you were talking, and also that you have been working, you have mentioned some of the companies you have worked for. Actually, some of the most important ones in the localization industry, like Ubisoft, Disney, Lionbridge, DLM Multimedia, Netflix. Which, if you had to choose one, which would be the project you would say you feel most proud of, or what that you say, okay, well, this was my best, my very best in my career.
You know, this you know, I've been in the industry now for many years, and I think I've done 50, 60 different localization projects, big or small, in different roles, and I think it's interesting to think about, actually. I mean, I think obviously like the most recent one would be the thing I'm most proud of, because obviously I use all my insight, all my experiences, all the stuff I had to go through up until this point into those projects. So quality wise, that would definitely like be my recent work. LQA for streaming services, marketing text for gaming platforms, and software translation for apps is mainly what I do now. But I mean, going back to my beginnings, I think maybe what I'm really kind of what I was very surprised that someone would allow me to start with was the Assassin's Creed 2, and also the fact that it was such a cool game, and you know, it taught me a bit about the history, and you know, I really wanted to go to Italy after playing it, and to have the feeling that I contributed, that was really great. So maybe I would like. It's also one of my first ones, but maybe that's what I think about the most.
Yeah. Of course, if I have to take a look back to what I did when I started, like many years ago, more than 20 years ago, I wouldn't be proud. I mean, I was proud when I did it, but if I saw it now, I would say, wow, this is crap. So yeah,
Exactly.
then I agree with you, and and that's something that I love in from this industry, or like being a teacher. Of course, we all do our best in our lives. But I mean, it's something that I love from being a translator, is that, wow, it's what you were saying. You have contributed to make a game being understood by more people in Norway, and that's fantastic, because it opened your mind, and it made you want to go to Italy. And I'm sure it happened the same with a lot of people in Norway, and of course in many other countries. And that's something that even if we get paid, that's not paid. I mean, it's
Exactly,
we are
yeah.
into something bigger, and I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely has bigger reach than what I was doing as a store manager. Let's put it like this. That's but yeah, I think you're right. So with this media, you might influence a lot of people, and that's a cool byproduct on top of the what you feel proud about, of what you kind of deliver on a technical way. But yeah.
Yeah, we make products to be easily accessible by a lot of people, and that's fantastic. So, yeah, you have worked as we were saying at the beginning as an LQ, a freelance translator, project manager, contractor. How would you describe these roles in a few words, and in which one of these roles do you feel better, and why?
Yeah, also LQA is more. I think the good thing about it is like you kind of sit there as an end consumer. You use the product as the audience would do, and you kind of judge it. So I mean, it's a bit more enjoyable than the earlier stages of the product. So on the other hand, like you are also a bit in the backseat of the decision process. So it's a good thing, but also like at some point you maybe want something more. You would like to have some more influence and a bit more stamp on things. I think as a translator or like a freelance translator, you definitely have more stamp on things, and but you are also required to be at a higher standard. So you have to work and you have to be professional. You have to stand through reviews. You have to do a lot of research. You have to be really good. So I mean, it's great. You have freedom to work whatever you want and from whatever you want, but you need to always hunt for the next project. So if you're not a good translator at the end, you will struggle a bit. I mean, as a project manager, it was a really interesting time for me. I had to use a lot of what I learned. Actually, there you see it comes again during my story management time. A lot to do with time management, a lot to do with foreseeing problems and talking to people, which it's a very good feeling as well to be in charge, to be kind of responsible, to be the one who people are turning to, but also you have to do a lot of work. You have to do a lot of the responsibility. So it's always pros and cons. And I mean, going to my last step, which I'm a contractor. It's maybe like a freelance translator as well. Also, you come with expertise, you deliver, but obviously the project ends, so then you have to find a new project. So I'm trying to combine being a contractor at companies. Currently, I'm working for a very nice company here in Berlin called Control QS, and we're rolling out 11, 12 websites for our buyer client, and it's really exciting. It's a really cool bunch to work with, and I'm really happy, and I can see all the stuff I learned throughout my gaming experience and project management experience and soft skills, maybe talking to people, understanding problems, comes into play on top of the language knowledge. So I do this part-time. I do freelance translation part-time, and that's for me the best combo because I'm not really feeling I'm stuck in the office for 8 hours and this thing. It's a bit more round, let's say.
Yeah, so you like to have a control of your time and where you spend on how you spend that time, right?
Yeah, exactly, and obviously also I want to be a bit more. I want to give myself the opportunity to do cool projects, and I think in this industry that's one of the really big perks. If you kind of figure out your niche, let's say, where you're good at, then you can totally do that. So why not? And that's what I'm trying right now.
Yeah, what you say is really interesting, and I think it's also a lesson that many people that are starting should learn. I mean, it usually happens with a lot of people who finish their degree, for example, in translation or language, modern languages, something like that. That they see themselves just as okay, now I have to become a translator or a teacher, or a language teacher. No, there are many possibilities. There are many. Of course, you need
Exactly.
to be open to new positions. But yeah, you are describing here like project management, contractor, language quality specialist. So that's fantastic. A linguistic quality analyst. So yeah, so I mean,
Mm.
it's not close to just being a teacher or being a translator, and I think that's a powerful message. So. And
Mm.
because I would like people to know, okay, when you finish or when you start looking for a job, yeah, do not limit yourself to just translating or
For
something like
sure.
yeah, open your
Yeah.
and in relation to this to your jobs, which one does it make you feel better now? So is it the
Yeah.
contractor one because you manage your time, or
Yeah, I would definitely say that. Also, I mean, it's also, as I said, it's a challenge to find the next project, and you kind of never know what's going to happen. But I mean, like my life situation right now gives me that opportunity to be that, let's say, free.
yeah,
So yeah, I can take on a new project here in Berlin after some time, and that to me is also very exciting. Uh,
and so
Obviously, like,
now
sorry.
now that you talk about Berlin, does I mean, do you limit to, or are you limited to live here, or limit? It's not a limit to live in Berlin, but I mean, would you, for example, consider as your job, you don't need, as a translator contractor, you don't need to be in an office, as you were saying before. So, would you, for example, decide to, or is it something that you are considering moving to a warmer place or back to Norway? I don't know, something like that, or not? You are okay here.
I mean, I have a friend in Malaga, and obviously that thought is very tempting in the middle of Berlin winter. Um,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean, I mean for sure. Also, the opportunity is there, but there's a reason why I'm here in Berlin as well. I really like the city and what it can offer, and I have a lot of pastime activities which I'm
yeah,
very happy about here. So, yes and no. But I would also like to say, like, as you're a contractor, you can have maybe like some gigs abroad for a period of time without that your life need to be completely changed.
yeah.
Back in 2011, I went to Dublin for 14 days to work as a LQA contractor then as well, and that was completely random and completely possible because of the type of industry you're in. So yeah, I'm not so bound, but obviously I really like to be in Berlin.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, and again, this goes back to yeah, being free and doing whatever you do with your time and
Yeah.
from on. So that's a super positive aspect of this industry. We are finishing, but I have one more question, and it's related to this, let's say, new thing, which is not that new, but artificial intelligence in the industry. How you see
Yeah.
the impact of artificial intelligence in the industry? I don't know if you see it as a threat, an advantage, if you use it in your daily life. How do you see it?
I mean, in my experience, it has been quite helpful. I have experience with it through MemoQ, for example, when I worked there, and it really helped me out to actually, in order to be consistent, it helps me out. In order to be kind of speedy, it helps me out, and also like sometimes it's not a complete match, but it kind of gives me like inspiration, let's say. So in this way, I'm quite positive. But I never worked with post editing, for example. So this aspect, it doesn't really sound appealing to me. But maybe it's okay. To be honest, I do not know.
Yeah. Now, for me, I think we will need to adapt and to learn, or we are already doing, as you were saying, working with computer-assisted translation tools like MemoQ. We need to learn to live with this
Yeah.
artificial intelligence and to take advantage of it. I mean, I think in the future we will be more like post-editing than purely translating. It obviously depends on the contents, like, for example, marketing or literary or audiovisual. Maybe it's still a little bit far
Yeah.
to from there. I mean, to have good translations. But in the technical field, sometimes you have to translate and support articles like we do in our company, or standards or things like that. That's they do a pretty good job. Of course, it's far from being perfect and far from sound completely natural, but well,
Yeah.
it's improved a lot since I started
Yeah.
using technologies like these 20 years ago.
It really depends on the industry, doesn't it? Like what kind
Yeah,
of stuff do you translate? So yeah, I mean for games, some of the repetitive stuff there, it really do help you. I think if you're translating a novel, maybe it's a different story.
yeah, but even in the gaming industry, I mean, if you want to give it like a touch that sounds a little bit more natural and closer to the end customer, you need to create, to be creative, try to create,
True.
not just translate.
Mm.
Um, my last question: do you see yourself working in this industry in the future, or have you planned to do, or would you like to do other things? How do you see in your future?
Yeah, I mean, definitely for the time being, I'm really happy with my situation. I'm also thinking it's great to live in Berlin doing what I do because it's not so costly. But thinking about a return to Norway,
Yeah.
working freelance, it's that's a different thing. So that's also maybe some of the things I would need to think about if
Mhm.
it's actually something I can do and make sense economically to work what I do today, because obviously it's not the most I'm not the richest person in the world, but having it as a side thing, I really see that going forward. So and I think that's great because it's something I enjoy to do. So yeah, let's see.
No, of course. Yeah, I mean, I think this is an industry with a lot of future, and you see that. I mean, for example, the streaming platforms are, let's say, just starting.
Yeah,
So yeah, Netflix being the oldest one. Just to say old to Netflix, it sounds even strange, but yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot of potential, and the things that
yeah,
have to come that we cannot even imagine. Who will have imagined apps for cell phones or things like that, like 10 years ago?
exactly.
Yes, it's another boom. So yeah, I think our positions will change, our jobs will change, but of course there will be new ones, like now with these localization engineers to teach machines how to talk, or the linguistic connections. And I think it's an open field, and there
Yeah,
will be many more things to come.
definitely exciting.
Yeah, Martin, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate your wise words and that you have opened.
Well,
Uh,
thank you so much for inviting me to have a talk about the industry, and good luck going forward with Translators. I think it's a really exciting project, and thank you so much again.
Thank you, and we wish you the best, and talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Ciao.
Bye bye.
You have listened to Martin talking about his career and about what he thinks could be the future of the industry, and he has also given us some very useful advice for the people who's just starting or finding their place in the industry. We thank you for following us, for listening to our podcasts. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And if you liked it, please give us 5 stars on iTunes, and keep following and listening to our podcast. Remember that we have courses in translators.es and translators.it. So if you like our courses, please join them. They are really good and you will enjoy them. And if you want us to talk about a specific topic or with any particular person, let us know. Write us to info@translators.com. We will be pleased to answer your petitions. And remember, join the translation revolution. Let's start.